Well, hi there. Warm welcome. You're watching Times Now's Blueprint Explosive Exclusive, and I'm Meghna Deka. Well, tonight we are going to put the spotlight on a disturbing digital reality where you, your face, your voice, and even your body can be faked, framed, and circulated online, but without your consent. How would you like that? Is it worrying you? Because it should. From revenge porn to political deepfakes, AI is now becoming weaponized. Weaponized to use as a tool to shame, a tool to silence, and even mislead. Other countries are already acting upon it. India, however, is still watching. With no clear law, no fast-track remedy, and no accountability, are we leaving citizens, especially women, dangerously exposed? And remember, the biggest victims psychologically when it comes to deepfakes, as per a research, are teenagers. Is your teenager at risk? Well, it's time that we ask, is India ready to take it down? Why are we talking about it today? Because today, in a landmark move to combat online sexual exploitation, former the US President Donald Trump, he has signed the new act. This new act says, take it down. It is a powerful step to ensure that it curbs the rise of revenge porn as well as deepfakes. And it is going to come with heavy penalties as well. The law is being designed to ensure that it empowers victims, especially women, by giving them the right to have non-consensual, explicit content being removed from the internet quickly and efficiently. Essentially, that if there are pictures of you which are being put out from America, then American law says that without consent, especially if it is explicit, it must be removed. And it doesn't just stop at pictures. Even deepfakes, if it is explicit in nature, is going to be taken down as per the law. With the rise of AI-powered deepfakes and explicit content being misused for pornography, well, this threat is no longer a distant one, that you can keep away from it. On your screens, now we are looking at several of the prominent celebrities in India. And look at the who's who. Prime Minister Modi, he himself has said that AI can be a powerful tool, but it's important that it is not misused. People like Sachin Tendulkar have been victims of deepfakes, and so have Virat Kohli. There are several such names which are coming in, not just here, across the entire world. We have those who have been receiving end of these deepfakes. As we are just telling you, Prime Minister Modi is just the more faces who've come out and openly said that this is a red flag which must be raised. Of course, he's also voiced serious concerns about AI in addition to several of the other celebrities. But this is what the Prime Minister had to say. Listen in.
एक आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस के कारण और उसमें भी डीप फेक के कारण जो एक नया संकट आ रहा है, भारत का बहुत बड़ा वर्ग ऐसा है कि उसके पास वेरिफिकेशन के लिए या ऑथेंटिफाई करने के लिए कोई उसके पास पैरेलल व्यवस्था नहीं, और उसके कारण डीप फेक हो तो भी वो भरोसा कर लेता है यार ऐसे थोड़ा आया होगा, कुछ तो होगा। और ये बहुत बड़े संकट की तरफ जाएगा समाज में, और शायद वो असंतोष की आग भी बहुत तेजी से फैला सकता है। अगर लोगों को एजुकेट कर सकते हैं हम हमारे कार्यक्रमों के द्वारा कि आखिर है क्या, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस कैसे काम कर रहा है, डीप फेक क्या कर सकता है और कितना बड़ा संकट पैदा कर सकता है, और उसमें जो चाहे वो बना सकते हैं जी। मैंने अभी एक वीडियो देखा जिसमें मैं गरबे गा रहा हूं।
Of course, it is women who have usually faced the brunt of deepfakes. Well, they are unfortunately not just restricted to internet messaging, from impersonating politicians, Bollywood stars, to exploiting women, using their faces, to use their bodies, to use their voices. AI misuse has now been exploding even in India. But here's the catch. India has no specific law that clearly protects your likeness. No clarity on who's going to be accountable if it is, and absolutely no fast-track system to report it or to take it down. In short, tech is moving fast, but the law hasn't caught up. India does, however, have some digital laws, but they weren't made for an AI world. The 2023 Data Protection Act, remember, talks about personal data, not about your likeness being cloned. And that is where the problem begins. What it does is that it offers some protection. However, what it does not do is doesn't directly regulate AI or any of the deep fakes. In fact, the IT rules also ask platforms to act, but it doesn't even mention AI or deep fake in it explicitly. Even our criminal laws, be it defamation, be it impersonation, all of this was written long before this technology even existed. So, of course, the terminology itself is outdated. So what is the bottom line? Well, we are fighting 21st century threats in 20th century tools, which is why we need a quick rethink. So what does India really need? Perhaps is going to be clear, codified protection against synthetic media. We don't have legal definition for deepfakes. There is no rule that says that your face, your voice, that your body cannot be used without your consent. There is no national AI oversight body. There is clear liability or platforms or developer, and there are safeguards against algorithm discrimination. So one word which sums it up is that it is missing. Across the globe, as we were just telling you about Melania Trump, who has been spearheading this big push in America. Of course, US President Donald Trump has now signed it as well as an executive order. But across the globe, countries have been waking up to the threat of AI-generated deception. The EU has also passed the world's first comprehensive AI law. The US has introduced the Take It Down Act to remove deepfake porn. China also has already regulated the generative AI. And in India, well, still without a single law which directly tackles deepfake, in the global war on AI misuse, we must now arm ourselves to be a bit better prepared. So let me go across to our panelists. Today, we are joined by Sarah Spector, who's joining us, an attorney live from United States. Also, we have United States. We also have Arushi Jain, who's joining us, a lawyer and tech laws expert. So let me go across to Sarah Spector. Pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us. You, of course, there in US. You must explain to us the need for law to quickly catch up and change with changing times, and why Trump, and this is something that Melania has been spearheading in the United States, felt it's important that we push through a legislation like this. What were the real threats that US seemed to be facing?
Well, we've already, many states have already addressed this issue, and now it's become a national issue where it's illegal in every state, and the federal government will get involved. And it's a problem because for a long time, if it's not just, let's address the non-AI, when just a woman, and sometimes often teenagers, are sending intimate messages via text or Snapchat, and then are put into social media platforms, and it causes great stigma. It's a stigma for a woman or a young lady to be, usually they get harassed online. They get teased by their friends, and often they end up trying to commit suicide, cutting themselves, the victims of this. And then with the AI part, you have absolutely no control, even if you choose not to send your pictures of yourself, sexual pictures. Someone could take your face, obviously, and put it on a fake body, and people would believe that you took nude pictures, and then they put it on social media. And the act, or the law that became national, basically bans both of this. And also, what had been a huge problem in at least where I live, is even if somebody was criminally prosecuted for this, the internet companies, or the social media companies, were not responding and taking it down. And while somebody would be criminally charged with this, it still would be up everywhere. And there was no real control over taking it down. And now it's federal, that any all these social media companies have to respond to a report of either deepfake or revenge porn and take it down within 48 hours, or they will be held criminally responsible. And so it's a good act. It's a good act.
So that's a good act. The fact that there is accountability which has been affixed of the social media platforms themselves. Remove it, or else you will be held accountable as well. If your voice, your body, your face is being used without your permission, especially for something like revenge porn or for anything which you feel is explicit, it will be removed in the United States. But what's happening in India? Arushi Jain, where do the laws stand in India? Are we prepared to deal with AI deepfakes? This is something that the Prime Minister himself has spoken about, but are we prepared?
So in India, we have a number of laws that are existing, but as we've discussed over time, that all these laws need to be stitched together. We have the newly amended criminal laws, we have the IT rules, we have the IT Act, but all these specify for those against and the intermediaries over a period of time. But we do not have a centralized regulation just like the US is now introduced. And time being the essence here, specifically adding the 48-hour timeline, that's very crucial because that's where all the damage happens. The reputation, the mental health issues, everything that we talk about time and again related to such issues. Likewise, in India, we've had the government taking steps, the ministries launching programs about it, but we need a central grievance addressal system for the quickness and the promptness of the things that are happening. We also need a system that can help us understand the shorter route of things. Even though courts are dealing with issues, we were talking about a lot of celebrities and women and children going through these issues regularly. We recently had a celebrity, Anil Kapoor, raise issues related to his image, his voice, and he got a positive order from the court on that. But that's a longer route to take. We need quicker remedies. We need law to address these issues in a quicker form, redressal officers to have things in place. So those are the things that definitely need to be taken care of. We have privacy norms, we have new regulations, we have laws, but they all need to be stitched together to come into a centralized law that can demand people, that can get people that kind of justice in terms of all these criminal offenses that happen. Criminalization and heavy penalties for such offenses is a must.
Absolutely.
So these are things that we need and are the timely needs of whatever is required.
Well, absolutely, because literally AI can be a very handy tool, but it is also being weaponized in the wrong hands. And this is for targeting specific individuals. But Sarah Spector, there have been a lot of questions which have been raised in US as well about the checks and balances of this larger act. How do you ensure that the act itself is not being misused? Because many are saying this is freedom of speech and you are taking away creativity. Where do you draw the line?
Well, I think the line's going to be drawn in the courts, but it's pretty. I mean, it's pretty. To me, there is obviously there's a limitation on free speech in America. There always has been, you know, I think I don't really think that it's that unclear. I think that if somebody is putting pornography without your consent on social media, that should be illegal, just like child porn is, right? And so I mean, I think there's a lot of concern over free speech, and it could maybe somebody could overreach and take down something that isn't considered pornographic, maybe political speech or something. But I think that at least me, and I'm an ex-prosecutor and I'm a criminal defense attorney now. I think that we have to lean on the side of illegalizing this, and then if somebody does cross the line into free speech, and then I think the courts can deal with it. They have always in America, and so I think that's where we'll go.
So the final Lakshman Rekha, that final red line is going to be drawn by the courts if it is going to impinge upon free speech. But at least that's what Sarah Spector said, start with making it illegal, and then the courts, of course, can take a case-wise specific look at every case. Now, Arushi Jain, this is one of the biggest concerns that many people in India have been raising. One of the biggest need for us to bring in an AI Deepfake Act to try and control it is because the highest psychological damage, as per surveys and studies, is going to the teenagers. It is several cases have been coming in, Arushi Jain, isn't it? Whereas there's the teenagers who get impacted the most because they don't have the maturity level to deal with something like a deep fake, which may be used as revenge porn, for a blackmailing tool, and so on and so forth. Do you think it's important that NCW and other bodies like this should also be involved to ensure that it's not just about women's rights, not just about free digital spaces, but also child rights, which gets violated in cases like that?
Absolutely. There is an existing law. We have the Indecent Representation of Women Act that already deals with these issues in some way. But likewise, as we said, that there's a centralized need, just as the US has also enacted now, covering and giving a wholesome protection to one and all. And like you mentioned that about minors and women, these are those kind of groups that are specifically impacted by these things. And specifically with children and teenagers, there is maximum amount of regulation and awareness that needs to be created over a period of time. This could be in different ways, through government initiatives, through the ministry, or at a legal level, as to how parents can get more involved and ensure that children are not impacted by such things. In the world that we are entering, in the digital age and how we are, the need of the hour is that kind of democracy that we are moving towards in the digital age. And for that kind of democracy and equal protection for women, for children, for minors, we need to ensure that the law is in consonance to that. They're aware about it, and it's protecting them from all such kinds of hazards that are happening as we move towards the digital age and as these amendments and these changes are adapted by us. And children and minors are definitely one such group who need to be taken special care of while such enactments are done and such awareness is created and the way things are moving.
Absolutely. And it's very interesting that you said that this is, of course, one group, but another group which is specifically being targeted by these deep fakes are also that of the elderly. So here's the reason why we have raised this red flag. Sarah Spector, who joined us today on the show, has told us about why US was anyways moving towards it, and they feel it important that laws keep track of AI and the revolution which has come along with it, because no good idea can be given a full free rein. At the end of it, it is a powerful tool, but what happens when it falls in the wrong hands? Arushi Jain has also weighed in, saying that it's important that India also keeps track of the AI revolution. And if it is being misused, it's important that we have faster and speedier ways of redressals rather than going all the way across to the courts, fighting it out there. But even then, what about accountability being affixed on the social media platforms itself? Well, we'll have to wait for all of that to happen. Of course, we need these laws to try and regulate the misuse. Melania Trump has said that this is almost like an addiction. AI is like addiction. It's almost like a sugar rush that you get when you unleash its power on unsuspecting victims. It's time to fight that back. Well, thank you so much, both of you ladies, for joining us here on a very significant, important issue. Without a short break, don't go anywhere.